What is up, guys? It is AJ from MMA Experts, and this is the UFC on ABC 1 Holloway versus Kattar full card predictions and the betting odds. Let's get into the first fight of the night. This between Jacob Kilburn and Austin Lingo. Lingo lost to the very skilled Yusuf Zalal. For Jacob Kilburn, coming off a dominant loss to Billy Quarantillo. For me here, I like Lingo. I think he's the better striker. And honestly, he could potentially fall back on his grappling because there is a bit of a hole in the game of Kilburn as far as the ground game goes. I like Lingo to knock him out within 2 rounds. Also could see a decision here. He's a minus 225 favorite. Kilburn at the plus 185 dog. I like Lingo here. I think he gets it done. I think he's a good prospect. I mean, he was 7-0 coming into the UFC and unfortunately met the very tough Yusuf Zalal early on and took that loss. But he should bounce back with a win here, and I am excited to see what he has. I mean, he's only 26 years of age. Next fight of the night on the undercard. Sarah Moraes, Vanessa Mello. As soon as I saw the records of these girls, I said, man, don't love it. I know Sarah Moraes. She was on The Ultimate Fighter. I mean, Vanessa Mello, she's a tough girl, but bad records between these two. Not really UFC records. If you look at Vanessa Mello, 3 straight defeats inside the UFC. Aldana, Cortez, and Corral Rosa. I mean, not terrible losses there, but that's still 0-3 in the octagon. I mean, it's not a good record, and definitely doesn't look great to have a 10-8 record as a pro inside the octagon. Sarah Moraes, though, a 500 record, 6-6. She's been around for a while. Not a ton of fights. She was on The Ultimate Fighter a while back. This is got to be now back in 2013. So long ago. I mean, she did do fairly well. Won 2 fights on The Ultimate Fighter, then lost to Juliana Pena. Has been in the UFC since. Inside the octagon, definitely some bad losses there. She's 1-4 in her last 5. Last fight, decision loss to Sijara Eubanks. Not a terrible loss. Does have a decent win over Liana Georgia. That by TKO in the 3rd round. I mean, that's a good win for her, especially as bad of a record as we see for Sarah Moraes being 6-6. I think she wins here, though. I think she beats Mello. I think she does so. Probably be by a decision. She's a bit bigger. She's got some more high-level experience, you could say. She's been in the UFC longer. I'm riding Moraes. I think she wins this fight by a decision. Don't think it's going to be a great fight. She is the minus 240 favorite. Mello the plus 195. I like the favorite Moraes here. Not crazy about that fight, to be honest. I think loser leaves the UFC for sure. Next fight, David Zawada and Razman Imayev. Zawada, I mean, the guy has fought some quality competition outside of the octagon, has done okay in the UFC. Imayev, I mean, he came in, he beat Sam Alvey in his, I believe, his UFC debut, up a weight class. He's a minus 260 favorite here to the plus 215 dog. I mean, let's quickly pull up Zawada's record, talk about his past couple of fights. Good kickboxer. I mean, the guy's not bad. He beat Akbar Nurmagomedov. Not a fight he was supposed to win, but he got the triangle there, so that's pretty awesome win. As a loss also to Julian Lee, lost to Danny Roberts, not great, but I mean, he was doing fairly well in KSW. Was on a win streak there from 2016 to 2018. I think that we're going to see him in a competitive bout at points with Razman Imayev, but I think Imayev is just a bit better on the feet, has fought some high-level competition, and has proven to do well against him. I think we see maybe a unanimous decision win for Imayev. He's not a big finisher. If you look, all his UFC victories, all by decision. His one loss to Rocco Martin, not a bad loss. Rocco Martin's pretty solid, and that was a decision loss. I think a decision win here is very realistic. Could potentially see Imayev maybe getting a late stoppage, but he's definitely more of a volume striker. I am riding with Razman Imayev. Hold on, let me quickly bring it back. Just look at the betting odds one last time. Minus 260 favorite is Imayev to the plus 215 dog in Zawada. I gotta go favorite, man. I gotta go Imayev. He's a big favorite, and he is gonna win the fight. Stylistically, he matches up well. He's a superior striker, and he does have the grappling game to defend any attacks by Zawada. Now, this fight I am excited for. Justin Tafa and Carlos Filipe, both hard-hitting heavyweights. The Brazilian, he takes on the Australian. Justin Tafa came into the UFC, terrible loss against De Castro. He got hit with one big shot, but he bounced back. I mean, he won his last fight. I believe I know the name of the opponent. Yeah, Juan Adams. Juan Adams lost to Greg Hardy a while back. Was a pretty big guy, maybe had a little bit of hype behind him, but didn't really live up to it. Got cut from the octagon. But win over Juan Adams in 2 minutes. Decent win. That was in February of this year. If you look, Carlos Filipe, 9-1 as a pro. That one loss was against Sergey Spivak by a majority decision, which No shame there. Also fought as a pro boxer in 2018. Jorgen De Castro, he beat him by a unanimous decision. De Castro knocked out Tafa. MMA math doesn't really work, but I think it's going to here. I think we see Carlos Filipe with a late stoppage or a decision win over Justin Tafa. Tafa, he's a tough heavyweight. He hits hard. And both these guys the same height. I think it's going to be maybe similar to the De Castro fight, but I do think Filipe wins a decision. I don't know if he might knock Tafa out, but I see it more towards the third round. I think that he will potentially clinch up with Tafa, hold him against the cage, and wear him out. I'm riding Filipe. He's a minus 195 favorite to the plus 160 dog. I think Filipe gets it done. I think he does so. Late stoppage or a decision win here. Might be a fun fight, might not be, but I am excited to see these heavyweights collide. Next fight of the night, Yanan Wu and Jocelyn Edwards. Not super hyped for this fight. I mean, it's going to be a decent one. Women's flyweight division, 125 pounds. Definitely some opportunities for these girls if they can get on some win streaks. Both are very young, 25 and 24. Edwards, I know she has a loss over in the LFA recently, but she is coming off a win in her last fight. That was against Pamela Gonzalez, who was 3-4. Not super UFC quality, but she beat her in 28 seconds. So, I mean, that's a pretty good win in her loss to Sarah Alpar in the LFA. Split decision. She's a decent striker from what I've seen and can also grapple fairly well, as can Yanan Wu. I mean, I think it's a pretty competitive bout. She is coming off a split decision loss to Minazuki Iunu. For me, 3 fights in the UFC versus no fights in the UFC. Statistically, height advantage in favor of Wu. Don't know about the reach, not listed there. I think Wu probably edges this out by a competitive decision here. I think Edwards is decent, and you know, she's a young girl that's still developing. Granted, she is a year older than Yanan Wu, but I think Wu has the higher level experience. Should win here by a decision. Don't know about it being a great fight, to be 100% honest with you guys. Might be lackluster. Next fight of the night, Nazareth Imayev versus Phil Hawes. This is a tricky one to pick, to be honest, because Phil Hawes, hot prospect, coming off some big knockout wins. Whereas Imayev coming off a very impressive win over Jordan Williams. I mean, he's a tall guy, 6'3". The reach advantage, though, in favor of Hawes. Hawes, 8 years his senior. It's a hard one for me to pick. I look at the odds. I mean, minus 155 is Hawes to the plus 130 dog in Imayev. If you look at Phil Hawes' past performances and losses, it would make me lean Imayev, but recently he has looked excellent. Granted, let's look at the opponents Phil Hawes has fought in his past 2, these being Dana White's Contender Series and UFC. Jacob Malhoun, only 4 professional fights. Kazarmat Bastayev, who was 10-3 as a pro, didn't have the best of resumes there. And both, though, quick knockout wins, beat them as he should have. Nazareth Imayev coming off a legit fight with Jordan Williams. Williams is a skilled, middleweight with good talent, and granted he has diabetes, so he doesn't cut much weight. I think he'd be very dangerous at 170, but can't do that. I'll be honest, I think this could potentially be a very tricky fight for Phil Hawes. We've seen Phil Hawes lose before. He is on a win streak now. He's looked very good as of late, but I think Imayev could potentially win here. Phil Hawes hasn't shown the best of gas tanks. He tends to gas out. Imayev has gone the distance, is prepared to go the 3 rounds. I think there's potential for an upset here. I really like Phil Hawes, and I can see him winning, but the smart money is on Imayev to beat him by upset. It's just we've seen Hawes underwhelm and underperform, and this is a legit test. I'm going Imayev. I think a late TKO here or a decision win. I think he upsets Phil Hawes, but definitely possible that it goes the other way. But I think that Imayev is a pretty solid underdog pick on this card, and I am riding with him here. Next fight of the night, main card. We have arrived. Punale Soriano versus Dusko Tudorovic. Both guys, very hyped prospect. Both young. Both have a ton of potential. Dusko Tudorovic, very good dirty boxing. Both are really good strikers. I mean, Dusko also knocked out Michel Pereira, who's an amazing striker, and that is a serious win, especially a first-round knockout. Soriano, good resume, beat Jamie Pickett on the Contender Series. His UFC debut was a win over Oscar Piachoda, first-round knockout there. That was in 2019, so he's been out of the octagon for a little bit over a year now, whereas Dusko recently fought Dequan Townsend. That was a dominant win. He stopped him in the second round. I think we're probably going to see dirty boxing, clinch control, and pressure. by Dusko Tudorovic, and I think he beats Soriano here. I think he wins this fight. I think potentially decision or a late stoppage. I think Dusko is prepared to go the 3 rounds. I mean, as is Bruno Soriano, but styles make fights, and I like Dusko Tudorovic to win this one. Undefeated, somebody's always got to go. Definitely a fight you guys want to tune in for. Both will not want to lose. Both are going to come to fight and potentially could have an excellent fight between these two. But I am riding Dusko. He's a minus 160 favorite to the plus 135 underdog. I like Dusko here. I think he does get it done and he moves to 11-0. Somebody to keep an eye on. Absolutely. Both those fighters, but especially Dusko. Keep an eye on him. Next fight of the night. Knockout of the year winner. Joaquin Buckley takes on Alessio Di Chirico. Definitely opposing positions for these two as far as career goes. 31 is Di Chirico, 3-fight losing streak. Buckley, 2-fight win streak. And even his loss to Kevin Holland, he was game and he gave a very good fight. I mean, let's look at Di Chirico's last 3 fights. Zach Cummings lost, Magomedov lost, and a Kevin Holland loss. He does have a win, though, over Julian Marquez by a split decision. But I mean, good amount of losses inside of the UFC. Definitely isn't elite level. But Joaquin Buckley, neither is he at this point. His wins have been against, newer guys to the octagon. Has a loss to Kevin Holland, who turned out to be one of the best fighters of 2020. Win over Impa Kasanganay by crazy knockout of the year. And a quick knockout of Jordan Wright. With Di Chirico, not an easy guy to put away. He's very durable. I think that we're going to see Joaquin Buckley land a lot of good punches here. I think he's going to do some damage. But I think he has to be ready for 3 rounds against Di Chirico, because Di Chirico is durable. He is 31, though. He is aging, so I'm going to go out on a whim. And I think that we see Joaquin Buckley knock him out. I think he does it in the 3rd round. I think he's going to wear him down in the first 2, landing big shots, and eventually gets rid of Alessio Di Chirico. Joaquin Buckley is a powerhouse, man. He hits with a lot of serious power. He's got pretty good reach, too, for a guy only 5'10". He's got the 2-inch reach advantage here, and I like him. He's a minus 270 favorite to the plus 220 underdog. I'm riding the favorite. Momentum strongly in his favor versus Di Chirico, who's definitely on a downhill slope, and with a loss here, potentially could be cut from the UFC. Next fight of the night. Very good one. Could have been the co-main event of a different card, or at least Ponzinibio could have been in the co-main event spot. Julian Lee, a solid fighter, does have a loss to Neil Magny in his last bout. Whereas Santiago Ponzinibio, I believe his last fight was the win over Neil Magny a few years ago. Yeah, 2018. So he has been out of the octagon for over 2 years. He bounces back to take on Julian Lee. Pretty good resume for Lee. I mean, he does have that loss to Neil Magny, but win over Zaleski, David Zawada, and Dolce Ab. Jake Matthews did beat him in 2018. I think it's a good fight here. I think it's a fun fight here. Very aggressive style of Lee. He'll sometimes get chaotic and wild, as can Ponzinibio, but I think Ponzinibio a little more technical, a little bit more precise, and he hits with a lot of power. Now, he is 34 years of age. Granted, his opponent 32. I think we're going to see Ponzinibio win here, but I don't think it's necessarily an easy fight. I think it's fairly competitive. I think a Ponzinibio decision victory, very likely here. I think he bounces back with a big win. I mean, this guy was at one point one of the top contenders in the UFC welterweight division, has fallen off, but I think he's going to come back with a vengeance, and I think watch Santiago Ponzinibio rise into the top of the division once again. I don't know about world title challenger. He's going to need to get some serious wins, but I think Ponzinibio, definitely somebody to keep an eye on. He wins here over Julian Lee. He is the favorite, minus 280 to the plus 230 underdog. I thought the odds could have been a bit closer just because Ponzinibio hasn't fought in so long. But he is going to get it done here and should be an impressive victory. Next fight of the night is the co-main event. Carlos Condit versus Matt Brown. 2 good strikers. Carlos Condit, very technical, very smooth, moves very well. Matt Brown, scrappy, comes forward. He's down for a good scrap. Condit also a southpaw who mixes up his stances very well. I like Condit here. He's the younger man of the 2, and I think he wins this fight. I think he does so probably by either a late stoppage into the 3rd round or a decision over Matt Brown. Either way, going to be a very fun fight. Matt Brown will be absolutely game. He will definitely get his fair share of good strikes in, but I am riding Carlos Condit, the natural-born killer, to beat the 40-year-old Matt Brown. Matt Brown, though, in his last fight looked tough and good against Miguel Baeza. If you guys want a more detailed breakdown, check out the link in the description. I did a very deep dive on this, the full breakdown. I would say this is more of, a quick breakdown of the fight. But I am riding Carlos Condit. I think he should win. He's a minus 160 favorite to the plus 135 underdog. I have Condit. Probably late stoppage or unanimous decision, and I think it's going to be an excellent fight between these two. Main event of the evening now. We have arrived. Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar. Fun fight. Very fun fight. Calvin Kattar, the Boston finisher. Max blessed Holloway. Featherweight contender fight. If Calvin Kattar wins, I could definitely see him as the #1 contender. He's 32 years of age, so he is 3 years older than Max Holloway, even though he's recently emerged to the top, of the UFC featherweight scene. Very good boxing. Excellent way that he mixes up his strikes, can switch stances, cuts off the cage fairly well. Very fast and explosive as well. Max Holloway, a veteran of the game, a guy that controls range excellently, volume puncher, he lands a lot of strikes, endless cardio it seems. But I'll be honest, Calvin Kattar stylistically matches up well with Max Holloway. He switches his stances a lot, and I think there's going to be some straight punches landing down the line, especially when he switches to that southpaw stance. I have Calvin Kattar winning this fight. He is the +135 dog. I am riding with him. Again, if you want a more detailed breakdown, I'll link it in the description to the full in detail fight prediction video that I did. But should be a great fight. Awesome main event. I have Calvin Kattar. Gonna be an awesome card. Always fun to cover the UFC. The UFC is coming back. Cannot wait to see UFC on ABC for the first time. This is a huge moment for the UFC and MMA as a whole to be on network television. Back in the day, the boxing was on ABC Wide World of Sports, and now we get the UFC there, and I'm really excited for this show. That is pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to play some bets, check out the MyBookie referral link in the description, and as I mentioned, you want some more detailed breakdowns, check out the links for the main and co-main event. They'll also be in the description, and until next time, I will see you all in the next video.